What's up, guys? Classy Metal here. Death metal. Death metal, death metal, death metal, death metal. That's all I hear. That's the videos that generate the most views. That's what the comments that I get that want to see stuff are asking for. Newsflash, there are more extreme genres out there than just death metal. There's some great music that's not death metal, and it's great to expand your horizons sometimes and check out something else. That being said, I've got a stack of death metal for you guys here today. And this is some stuff that I've been picking up over the past several weeks. Some of that maybe a little bit longer than the past several weeks. I'm way behind on these videos. But the reason why I chose the albums that I'm going to show in this particular video today is just the fact that I have not seen these albums or these bands showcased pretty much anywhere else. And that's not me being pretentious. That's not me trying to say I'm the only one listening to these. I'm sure they've been shown. I'm sure they've been highlighted somewhere. I've just missed it. It's no big surprise to me that I have. Just for the simple fact is how crazy and hectic my life has been over probably the last 6 months. You could even go even longer than that, probably the past year. I'm kind of out of the loop on some things between my hiatus and everything else, but these are just some albums and some releases that I was not seeing promoted or shown, and I really feel like they deserve some kind of spotlight on them because there's some great stuff here that I've picked up, and I definitely want to share this with you guys. The first two bands that I'm going to show are both bands out of Czechia. And apparently, Czechia has a thriving metal scene that I was completely unaware of. The more that I've kind of dug and looked deeper into it, it is surprising how many great and flourishing metal acts are coming out of that area. It kind of blew my mind. That's not a strong point of metal or even death metal in my mind. And now it's a region that I definitely have on my radar and want to check out and keep discovering more stuff. The first band that I'm going to show is a band called Soul Massacre. This release came out last year, in August of last year, and is entitled Despair of Human Being. This was released on Pirat Magazine Records, a label that I've heard of, but I was not super familiar with. I also picked up their 2017 full-length entitled Purgatory System. The one that I'm going to focus on with you guys today is their newest release, Despair of Human Being. The improvement and the quality of the new album is just amazing. I do like both of these, but the step forward that this band took in the 4-year period between albums is just absolutely breathtaking. They did change singers. They had a female singer on the debut album, and she parted ways with the band. They have a new singer, obviously, and the production on the newest album, it has this kind of thick sound, but it's got a thick sound with a clean production, if that makes any sense whatsoever. The new singer is able to do the growls, death metal growls, a little bit deeper, a little bit more boisterous, and it definitely lends itself a great service to this particular release. The first album was solid old school death metal, but they've kind of taken that sound and just run with it on this. You definitely have those old school death metal kind of grooves and vibes going on, but it's just so boisterous and heavy on top of that I absolutely love it. One thing that I felt like they greatly improved on between the first album and this release is the song structures and the actual tempo changes within the actual tracks. They're able to change up the tempos and structure the songs in a way that it keeps your attention and kind of makes you wonder where they're going with it next. It definitely sparks an interest, and it's definitely something that you're going to want to check out. If I could tell you just about any album, any track on this particular album is a great way to start. I personally would just start with the very first track entitled Their Land. That's one that you're going to get a good feeling for the album that's to come. If you're looking for a more accessible kind of track to just kind of give you an idea of what you're in for, there's a track called Behind the Scars. It has a bit more melodic feel going on in that one, and it would be, I guess, a bit more of an accessible track. Personally, I would just start from the beginning, Their Land, and just blast my way through this entire album. Great stuff there out of Czechia. definitely check out Soul Massacre if you have not done so. As always, all of the albums that I'm showing on this video will be linked up in the description. So if you see something that you want to go check out, just scroll down there and they will all be down there at your disposal. Next up, another band out of Czechia that apparently has been around since the early 90s. This is one that I've completely missed out on, and I'm kind of sad about that. They put 2 albums out in the 90s, and then they had a bit of a hiatus, or I guess a long hiatus. They got back together, released a 3rd full-length in 2020, and their 4th full-length came out a little bit earlier this year. This is a band called Scabbard. And I am going to butcher that album title. You can kind of see it down there on the bottom. Lidské, loutky. Yeah, I probably butchered that, and I definitely apologize if I did. There's a 45-second intro that starts out this album, and that's your breathing room. Once that 45-second intro is done, you're going to just get hit with these hooks and these grooves and these riffs that we're going to keep you absolutely hooked for the entirety of this album. I think the album only runs 30-ish, a little over 30 minutes, but it's something that just completely grips your attention that entire time. That 31 minutes or so that this album plays absolutely flies by. It leaves you wanting more. I hope this band continues on in the vein that they're going with this. You can tell that these are some musically seasoned veterans that know exactly what they're doing on this. I'm a bit ashamed of myself, just the simple fact that I haven't heard any of their other material, this being their 4th full length. I'm definitely going to want to backtrack. I want to hunt down some of those 90s albums as well. With them being a 90s band, I mean, there's no denying the fact that this is just fantastic old school death metal. A lot of you guys watching this are into old school death metal. Definitely check out Scabbard if you have not done so. Fantastic stuff. This is another album that the very first track outside of the intro is just going to hook you in. You're going to know exactly what you're in for the entirety of this album. I would give you that track title, but nothing on this is in English. None of the vocals are in English. But that doesn't take anything away from the album itself. Fantastic stuff here. Definitely check out Scabbard if you have not heard of them, as I haven't. Some of you may be super familiar with that band as long as they've been around. I may have just been living under a rock somewhere. Taking a little trip now, we're going to be heading over to Glasgow, Scotland. We have some brutal... This is straightforward death metal that kind of totes the line into brutal death metal territory and even technical death metal at times. This is a band called Rend, Em Asunder with their self-released debut full-length that came out this past July. It's entitled Existence to Entrails. This is just 32 minutes of in-your-face, straightforward death metal. The brutality is there. It comes in kind of bits and pieces, and definitely is definitely there. The vocals on this are these kind of throaty, scratchy, almost painful sounding vocals, but they definitely work well with some of the themes going on in the album. It definitely does a service. It kind of gets the point across that the vocalist is trying to get across. Let the truck go by. They're excited about Rend, Em Asunder as well. If you're looking for a track to really get into on this one, the first track, Rigor Mortis, I did enjoy that one quite a bit. I think it's track number 7. There's not numbered on the back, but Outnumbered, Encircled, and Slaughtered is the name of the track. It has this kind of fight riff going on, and then these like chugs going that sounds like you're just in a fight for your life, and they will just dismember you and butcher you and beat you to pieces. Fantastic stuff here from Rend, Em Asunder. Definitely check that one out. Some of you guys, I don't know, I did show the band Putrid Tomb on this channel quite a bit last year, and I know their self-release came out last year, and they had a demo that came out I think in 2020 or 2019 that I showed as well. I loved Putrid Tomb. I was kind of upset when they disbanded, and I was hoping the members would go on to do something else, and they absolutely have. We have some brutal death metal out of San Diego, California. This is Deseccation with Psychopathic Impalement. This came out in January, all the way back in January of this year. It was released through Brutal Mind, Indonesia. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there is a hotbed of brutal death metal in Indonesia. Most of you guys, I mean, you have to know that if you're into brutal death metal. San Diego, California band released through an Indonesian label. If you were following Putrid Tomb as I was, just kind of as they started and had those couple of EPs, fantastic EPs that came out, you could kind of see the progression of the band. They were moving, they were kind of departing from this kind of thrashy, even an old school death metal sound, and kind of morphing into a bit more of a brutal and technical sound. It was very prevalent on that last EP that they put out in 2021. And the band disbanded. They disbanded because they wanted to move in a different direction. In Desiccation, you can definitely feel, with it being the ex-members, the guts of Putrid Tomb are still there, but they were able to transform and kind of move forward in this more brutal, this more chuggy sound that they were aspiring to make. I absolutely love this. It's only about 20 minutes, but it does exactly what you want an EP to do. It leaves me thirsting for more. I want to hear some more from Desecration. These guys are super young, but they're super talented. I am excited to see where they go from here. And there's a track on here called Gaffed and Dismembered, track number 4. That's probably my favorite track on this album, or on this EP. Especially, it kind of highlights the areas of technicality that they're wanting to take this music. They kind of lean into that a bit on that track, and it's probably my favorite track on this EP. But I am super excited to see where this band goes from here, and I hope you guys take the time to check them out. Next up, we have a band out of New Zealand. This is some blackened death metal, so changing gears just a little bit. This is a band called Exaltation with their another debut release. This is their debut full-length entitled Under Blind Reasoning. This came out back in July on Sentiment Ruin Records. This one may have been shown a couple times. I was definitely out of the loop around the time that July came around. This is a 31-minute full-length that has a heavy Morbid Angel, early Morbid Angel, I would say, influence going on here in the music. They are able to tie in this almost atmospherics with this almost you got these heavy atmospheres kind of blending in some Morbid Angel worship. If that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but it's definitely what's going on here. It's music that will just kind of melt your face off and then and bludgeon you a little bit with the blast beats and the fast pace, and then they bring in these heavy, almost sulfuric atmospheres that kind of help you recover. And as soon as you're back to being recovered, they just blast you and beat you all over again. With the atmospheres, sometimes this can feel like it plays longer than what it actually does, but it also draws more attention to the heavier parts of the album, because after the atmospheres get you kind of ready to see where they're going to take it next musically, and then they hit you with that. It's some great stuff. I love some of the ideas that Exaltation brought to the table on this first full length. I'm also, this is another band that I'm kind of excited to see where they take it from here, because there were some great ideas on this that I definitely want to see expanded on a bit more in the future. Some more blackened death metal, some more, I said, sulfuric kind of atmospheres in the Exaltation release. We have a very oppressive, sulfuric, almost demonic sounding full length from the band called Cruentation. This is a self-titled release. The band put the digital out, I think, in April of this year, and then Iron Bonehead Productions released the full length in August. You kind of know when Iron Bonehead Productions releases something that you're getting this very dark, I won't say demonic for every Iron Bonehead release, but a lot of Iron Bonehead releases, you kind of know what you're getting into with this. This is labeled as a full length, despite only being like 19 minutes in length. But despite it only being so brief, this is some of the most suffocating, sulfuric, straight out oppressive black and death metal that I've heard in quite some time. This is a band out of Massachusetts, and for me, they have a very European flair going on. For me, I have a hard time bookmarking this band from Massachusetts. The first time I heard this, I would have sworn that this band was from Italy, and that may make no sense to you whatsoever. After you listen to it, you might get the gist of what I'm trying, of the way I'm feeling about it. But that's just where my mind is wanting to pack this band up and place their geography to. I can't really explain it, but it's so heavy and so suffocating, and at the same time, it's very fast paced and very very in your face. It's amazing the soundscapes that they're able to produce. There's so few bands that can pull that feeling off the way that this band does. Track number 2, Dreadful Mutilation. In that track, I hear some heavy Profanatica vibes going on. That's another band that can kind of build up that same kind of oppressive feeling with the music being fast, but still feeling so suffocating and weighing so heavy on you. It's some great stuff here. The fact that they're able to emote those kind of feelings out of you and cause you to feel certain ways, make you feel a bit uncomfortable at times, definitely is a testament of how well they're able to pull this very dark style of music off. This one here is a bit of a stretch for the death metal collection update. It is Death Doom, so we're going to let it slide. This is some Death Doom out of New York, New York. And for me, I say Death Doom. There are even times where it could even borderline into like Death Funeral Doom. I get a feeling on this, it feels like the band Mortician and the band Skepticism had a baby, and this is what they produced. And that might sound a little off and a little weird, but if you listen to this, you might get that same feeling that I do. This is the third full length from this band. They've released 3 full lengths in 3 years. This is Immortal Rotting with Abyss Lord, and this is, of their 3 full lengths that they've released so far, this is leaps and bounds my favorite release that they've put out. I absolutely fell in love with this from the very first listen. The title track, Abyss Lord, is the very first track, and I've said this a few times already in this video, but that very first track just sucked me in, and I was there's these it's kind of like the drum beat meets the riff in that first track, and they're going kind of simultaneously. It's almost a bit hypnotic, and it's just for a lack of a better word, just it feels almost intoxicating. And that's the very first track, and it kind of sucked me in from that first track, and I was very intrigued, and I made it through this entire album. And I found myself, the very first time that I listened to it, I listened through the album first, immediately bought it, and then I listened to it again. And with something this heavy, this kind of slow paced, it's kind of hard to have that kind of replay value, but this band is able to do that. Even though it can be very taxing on your psyche, it's something that you're going to want to keep returning to over and over and over, and that's a huge compliment. That's one of the best compliments that I could give this style of music. Another one, with them churning out material, the way that this band has been churning out material, I want to see where they go from here. It's something that it's a style of music that would almost feel like you could burn yourself out on very easily, but yet I have been unable to do so. So that's amazing stuff there from Immortal Rotting. Definitely check that out. And then last but not least, this is probably the oldest album in this entire bunch, and it came out in 2020. This is a band called Burial Rot. It is not Burial Rot out of the UK, the kind of hardcore / death metal. There's another loud truck. It's harvest season. We're going to let them go through. It's not the Burial Rot that some of you may be familiar with out of the UK. It's kind of crust punk, hardcore, deathcore. Very good band. This is not that band. This is Burial Rot out of Mexico with Do Not Desecrate the Sleep of the Dead. I thought I was going to butcher that album title with it being so long, but I did not. This is some horror-themed old-school death metal released on Ritual Productions back in 2020. I think this came out on April 20th, so a 420 album, so the kind of green artwork and stuff goes with that. The Bandcamp, unfortunately, I'm going to link it down there, so the Ritual Productions Bandcamp, so you can check this album out and order it and that type of stuff if you want. Unfortunately, the Bandcamp only features 2 tracks. You get the title track, and then there's another one. What was the other one? It was Ripper of Souls, which is one of the bonus tracks. That's all that's available on the Bandcamp, unfortunately, but it will give you an idea of what you're getting into with this particular album. As I was saying, it's old school death metal. It has these kind of cavernous, deep vocals that really lend themselves well to the horror themes that's going on in this particular album. Has some sound clips from horror movies going on in this as well. I'm beginning to lose my voice. And it works very well. Sometimes some of the sound bites and the like bands like Skinless, they've kind of gotten away from it. Mortician, they're the ones that kind of made it what it is. That can kind of take away from the band, but they're able to work it into the music on this in a way that it doesn't take away from the album as a whole. The songs are kind of revolved around the sound clips and stuff that they've inserted into this, so it works very, very well. This is another band that can kind of slow it down and then speed it up with the tempo changes. The slowed down kind of groovy parts on this are probably my favorite pieces of this album, but this is one that I've probably owned the longest out of all of these, and it's one that helped me get through those moving times that I was having over the summer, over summer into the early part of the fall, having to do so much moving, having to do so much driving. My CDs and stuff were all packed up. This is one that I had out, and it got a ton of playtime that way, and it hasn't been shelved up yet, so that should tell you how much I've enjoyed this album. Great stuff there out of Mexico. Old school death metal. I mean, it's all the rage right now, so definitely check that one out as well. There you have it. We have 8 bands and 9 releases that will be linked up down there for you guys to find and listen to. I'm anxious for you guys to check it out and let me know what you think about some of this stuff. Honestly, some of this may have been spotlighted on other channels. If you've shown this and I just happen to miss it, I do apologize. But I am anxious to see what you guys feel about some of this, because I love every single one of these albums. Some of these will probably end up on my end of the year list come the end of the year, so just keep your eyes open and you may see some of this stuff again. That's all I've got for today. I have an idea that I want to do a video, a special Forsaken Friday video up this Friday for Black Friday. We'll see if that can come into fruition or not. Just with the way the life is running and schedules are going, but I'm definitely going to try to get that one going. I have an idea in my head of what I want to show on Friday. If nothing else, I will have the CD collection video still coming up on Sunday. I think Sunday is kind of my sweet spot for uploading those. It's the best time of the week for me to get those off the shelf and record and upload those particular videos. If I don't see you guys before, have a happy Thanksgiving if you're here in the States, and I will see you all as soon as possible. Follow my new Instagram if you have not done so. That's linked up down there in the description. Until I see you guys again, stay classy, stay metal, and I will see you very soon. I promise.